Oh my, talk about unpreparedness. Truly, truly unpreparedness. Hi, welcome everyone, welcome one, welcome all to the, I would say, finale of Investigate, Dual Destinies, but, the thing is about that, it's not technically the finale with, Turnabout Reclaim. Hello! Also, I want to state this right now, for the first bit, I will be eating food, because I got home a little later than I intended, and I had to make food quick, and I wasn't able to finish the food before I hit the go live, but I was just like, I made a commitment to start at 8 because I was at church. I quickly put some the pizza rolls in the air fryer, the best way to make them, and that's really it. So let me tell you guys about Saturday. I figured out Saturday, which I was amazed that I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted to do before tomorrow. Because I probably would have panicked like 5 minutes before 6 on Saturday and just been like, ha! But no. I know what I want to play. I do want to start my Pokemon Fire Red randomized Nuzlocke. It's gonna be great. Then I probably won't touch it for a few weeks while I wait, while I situate things to start being able to stream on Wednesdays. So, which would be in like a few weeks. Don't worry. But anyways, I think we should shut up and play. Okay, maybe not shut. God damn it! Ugh. Can you tell that I got home just a little bit ago? And I didn't have time to do this? I don't know why Streamlabs is doing this to me. It has happened all week. Let me fix this so it's right there. It's the way I like it. And there we go. Now we can shut up and play. I like Pokemon, but it's not like I play a game and I complete the game. December 20th, 311. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 5. I did a little research. I looked into those special Psyche locks you mentioned, Mr. Nick. You did? That's great. I really appreciate it. I read Psyche lock protects a secret a person is consciously trying to hide. If the person folds under questioning, the locks break and the truth comes out. Yep, that's exactly how I got the truth out of Detective Fulbright and Director Cosmos. But a black Psyche lock protects a secret from the deepest places of a person's heart. A secret that a person isn't even consciously aware of. Oh my gosh! I was literally theorizing about that earlier today! My theory was fucking right. I was wondering if it's just like, you know? So even they don't know it's there. Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, the parts of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself. So, okay, so all I have to do is break the Psyche locks. How do I do that? Because Polo kind of took care of the ones with Gavin. And we don't even know if those were technically broken. According to my research, a black psyche lock is like a heavy chain wrapped directly around one's heart. If they are ripped off by force, it could cause permanent damage to a person's soul. In other words, if I'm not careful, I could traumatize Athena for good. It's not like she's already traumatized. Pearls, could you stay by Athena's side? She must be suffering under the weight of such a heavy burden. You know, great minds think alike, right? Alright. But will you be alright by yourself, Mr. Nick? I'm up against Edgeworth. I have to be able to give this trial all my focus and strength. You can't do that if I'm there. I'll just hold you back. No, that's not it. I just meant you can relax and concentrate if I knew you. No, it's just I mean I can relax and concentrate if I knew you were with Athena. You're the only one who can do it, Pearls. All right, I'll do it then. Good luck, Mr. Nick. Hey, Pearls, maybe you can channel her mom. That would help her, right? Good. Now that my mind is at ease, I'd better get ready. I'll just tidy up the evidence and take out what I don't need. It's time to end this nightmare that started 7 years ago. December 20th. District Court. Courtroom number 4. Defense, prosecution, and judge. There's even people in the gallery. The roof has been completely blown off and the walls have collapsed. But today, this room is my battleground. Court, or some filth me of, therefore, is now in session of the trial of Athena Sykes. Not a far smile, man. This is a proper official trial. It's not technically official. Take it more seriously or I'll start ripping the bones of the hostages snap. Please try not to upset Mrs. Blackwell. I'm begging you. Please, Your Honor. Court is now in session for the very serious and proper trial of Athena Sykes. This is no trial. It's nothing more than a ridiculous facade. What did you say? Edgeworth, did you not hear what I just said to His Honor? However, this ridiculous facade has a very important meaning for our legal system. Recall the case of the UR1 incident, which a prosecutor was found guilty of murder. That case ushered the odious dark age of the odious dark age of the law. I see what you're after. If we can find the real truth behind the case today. Precisely. The darkness will dispel and the glory shall be restored to the court system. Prosecutor Edgeworth, you send us if you know something of this truth. I do indeed. Our new suspect has emerged in the R1 case. Hold on. Man, this pizza roll is good. For 7 years, Simon Blackwell has refused to speak in order to cover for someone else. Brace yourself, Phoenix. Here comes. I'm sorry, Wright, but the situation is what it is, and I must do what I must. It's okay. I'm ready to rebuttal. The prosecution moves to indicate Athena Sykes on the court of the murder of in the first degree. I mean, she was already arrested for that regard, Edgeworth.
Regardless the circumstance, I intend to question the defendant with all I have. For
Okay.
That is a part of my creed.
Then you'd better bring it. If the two of you are ready.
This battle will be legendary.
In session for the trial of Athena Sykes.
Your Honor, the defense was born ready.
The prosecution is also ready.
This is immense tension between us. It's like we're picking up right where we left off. It's my duty to clear Prosecutor Blackwell of the false accusation and end this insanity. But I have no intention of losing Miss Sykes either. She's a very promising young lawyer. I know without a doubt that Athena is innocent. But I don't think Prosecutor Blackwell did it either. So, did you have any clues on who was responsible for the sabotage? At the very least, I know it wasn't Simon Blackwell. I don't know enough to identify the true culprit, but it's clear what that person is. To put it simply, a spy. The true culprit is a spy. No. We have pearls. We're fine. This isn't Spirit of Justice. We'll get to that later. How much later? Don't know yet. Because I want to get back into Professor Layton after this. We'll be fine. No ghost tricks. No. I already played Ghost Tricks. That was a good game. 10 out of 10 would play again. Okay, probably not play again, but if they made like a sequel to that game, I would play it. It's gonna be hard to convince anyone of that when I hardly believe it myself. But I don't have a choice if I want to save Athena and Blackwell and expose the spy. Now then, Chief Prosecutor Edgeworth. No need for the Chief Prosecutor bit, Your Honor. I'm here as a simple prosecutor. Very well, your opening statement, please, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Although I've been known of late to give an impressive opening statement myself. No, Your Honor, you've done great. But Blackwell's not here, so we could do this normally. In all the trials I've ever seen, only the prosecution gives an opening statement. Oh, no, of course, you're right. No, I was just joking. Just having a little fun. So he wasn't just doing them out of fear. Interesting. Let's start with a brief overview of the UR1 incident. The incident occurred at the Cosmos Space Center 7 years ago on October 7th. The victim, psychologist Mistress Sykes, was killed in the robotics lab on the 4th floor. Athena's mother. Simon Blackwell, a young prosecutor at the time, was found guilty of the crime. There was 2 deciding factors that led to his guilty verdict. 1, Blackwell was the only person in the corridor to the lab at the time of the murder. And 2, this photo, which was captured at the moment of the crime. Very incriminating evidence indeed. It would appear that only the one conclusion is that Prosecutor Blackwell indeed. Are you kidding me? I'm not accepting any kind of conclusion of the kind. This opening statement is over. Now hurry up and call the witness. Excuse me, Miss Blackwell, but we must follow proper procedure for these things, you know. Or perhaps we should heed her wishes, Your Honor. She is the trial sponsor, after all. Besides, the courtroom is chilly, and sitting too long can't be good for your back. Oh, you are very kind to show such concern for the welfare of the elderly. As skilled as ever at playing the court puppeteer, I see. The prosecution calls its first witness, a witness who decided to bring forth new testimony after 7 long years. New testimony? And just who is this witness anyways? I swear to God if it's going to be Blackwell right away. Ah, of course, Fulbright! In justice we trust! Bobby Fulbright's the name! In justice we trust! I get so good. What are you doing here? Hello. I'm just here to speak for the hostage taker, Miss Arabella Quill. She said she's too busy with all that confining and threatening of the hostages and all. That doesn't seem to stop her from constantly chiming in through Clonko. I'm nothing more than an observer in this. Do your best. I'm watching you. Believing her brother's innocence, Miss Blackwell has been conducting her own investigation. And though her current actions are hardly lawful, I think we can at least hear her theory. Anyone new just tuning in, I am eating food, so that's why I'm pausing every once in a while. Gotta make sure my pizza rolls don't go cold. I have here Miss Blackwell's notes on the investigation she conducted. And I'll be giving testimony based on these notes. Here I go! Simon isn't the murderer. He was trying to cover for someone. Someone else was at the scene of the crime. Was at the scene at the time they say Simon committed the murder. I mean, if he really was out to steal that moon rock, then why was the rolling case? Because he was using it to hide someone on inside. That's why. And the only person. Yeah, I do too. But I'll get to Spirit of Justice eventually, you know. Like I said, I want to play other games, though, before I play Spirit of Justice. And the only person small enough to fit inside that case was Estina Sykes. And that's Miss Blackwell's theory. It totally goes in the face of official ruling, huh? About the case you mentioned, there were other rolling casings like that in the one in the lab. But they're not for traveling. They are apparently for moving parts and equipment. I vaguely remember seeing three cases, all different in sizes. At the last trial, they thought that Prosecutor Blackwell used the case to steal the rock. And they had a perfectly good reason to think that too. You see, there's a security camera in the corridor that leads to the robotics lab. And that camera captured the footage of Blackwell leaving the scene with the case. I can see why that footage helped to bring his trial to a quick end. It's very convincing, that's for sure. That case, by the way, was later discovered outside on the Space Center grounds. Speaking of after the incident, where was the defendant, Zena Sykes, found? She was found on the 5th floor of the Space Center in the Sykes family residence. Prosecutor Blackwell most likely brought her there after the incident. In addition, it's unknown where Miss Sykes was at the estimated time of death. Miss Sykes was too confused by the shock of her mother's death to give proper testimony. There was no witness or evidence to tell us where she might have been. So what you're saying is Miss Sykes didn't have an alibi. That's what the evidence is saying. Yes. I understand the reasoning behind the theory, but I'm far from convinced. The victim is the accused's mother. Are you actually claiming an 11-year-old girl? Of course, the girl had a very strong motive. Dr. Sykes was a psychologist who wrote many papers about speech and emotion. You are aware of Athena's special ability, aren't you, Your Honor? Are you referring to that therapy thing? Yes, she's done it quite a few times in court. The ability to read emotions from speech, the subject of her mother's research. Well, as long as it benefits society. I don't see any particular problem researching it. I don't like where this is heading. Not one bit. Dr. Sykes was so intent on her research, she forced her daughter to undergo experiments. I better hurry with these pizza rolls. They're getting cold. I maybe could have kept them there for longer, but if I did that, it would be way too crispy. Prosecutor Edwards, are you seriously suggesting? I've done my best to be delicate, but even you can't deny it to be true, Mr. Wright. No longer will you be able to withstand the anguish of... the experiments. Miss Sykes felt the only choice was to kill her own mother. Ah! These pizza rolls are good. Order! Order in the court! What a tragic story. I hardly want to believe it myself. Then don't, Your Honor! But we must proceed. Mr. Wright, if you could, Detective Fulbright, please refer to the notes. So Prosecutor Blackwell willingly accepted a death sentence to protect someone else. That's precisely what Mass Blackwell appears to believe. I mean, it can be right, but there's also, it can be the truth that what they think is just wrong, but the whole truth. And that is what I believe as well. Prosecutor Blackwell is no murderer, Mr. Wright. But Xenopsych certainly didn't kill anyone either, Mr. Edgeworth. So it appears neither of us can afford to go on easy on each other. Fine. I expected no less. Oh, I remember this tense from here. It's so invigorating. Calm yourself, Judge. It's only been like 9 years? Because technically the last time Phoenix went against Edgeworth specifically in court was Farewell My Turnabout. I'm only reading notes here, but yeah, I feel invigorated too, so let's keep going.
Hold it.
But that's just speculation.
Objection.
No, Ms. Blackwell has proper ground for her claims.
Objection.
Then why did she say so in the first place?
Objection.
You're the one who screams hold it and cut. You're the one who screamed hold it and cut me off. Fine. So maybe I jumped to the gun by a teeny weeny bit. Now I know what they mean. They say close enough to argue. Moving on.
Hold it.
This rolling case. I suppose you mean the one that existed in the photo with Prosecutor Blackwell in it. But was absent when the crime scenes and the photos were taken. Yes, that's the one. And Miss Blackwell has drawn the conclusion from these two photos. She has? And what is that conclusion? Read your note, Fulbright. You're the one with her notes. Oh, right. Of course. We're reading them now. So why the rolling case?
Hold it.
And how do you suppose he hit a person inside one of those cases? Have you forgotten that we just saw a thing only the other day? At your own daughter's magic show, she fit a grown person into a small box. Oh yeah! Way to ruin the memory of a good day! A magic show? I wish you would have thought to invite me. No, we'll remember next time, Your Honor. Actually, I would have liked to go in too. Okay, we can all go to next Jersey's next show! Okay? Everybody in the courtroom is invited! Except for the gallery. The gallery knows what they did. My apologies. I'll invite you both next time. I promise. So, wait a minute. What were we talking about again? How a person could be fit into a box. Prosecutor Blackwell was using the case to hide someone.
Hold it.
But that's nothing more than con shirk. And that's hardly only possible. In that case, what do you think Prosecutor Blackwell had in that case? I think it was the moon rock.
Objection.
There was 3 cases at the scene, but Prosecutor Blackwell used the largest one. The moon rock was egg-shaped and only had 8 inches in diameter. Wouldn't it made sense to use the large? It wouldn't made sense to use the largest case just to move that rock.
Objection!
Be that as it may, it doesn't prove Miss Sykes was inside. Then let me ask you this. Can you come up with a better theory of what was in the case? Well, Mr. Wright, can you? Yikes. Give a guy some time to think. Let's see. Should I try to bluff my way through what I could... bluff my way through what could have been in that case? Bluffing's is your specialty, Phoenix. Let's fucking bluff! I know exactly what Prosecutor Blackwell carried from the scene. I just have to find something else that was missing, right? No sweat. Ooh, I'd be very interested in hearing your theory. If it is true, that is. This is the crime scene photo taken after Prosecutor Blackwell has left, correct? All we have to do is compare this with... see what's missing. If he took something with him, it should be in one of these photos. Lady Luck, don't fail me now! Alright then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your theory. Let me look at this photo again. Oh, my button. Please notice that there's a robot part on the top of the car in this photo. However, in this photo, though taken after the crime, the robot part is gone. In other words, this part is something that could be was taken from the scene of the crime. You do appear to be right. I don't see that in the second picture. But it's just a piece of junk. How important could it be? Is it really just an insignificant robot part? Speaking of which... What are you looking at? I'm gonna start charging for each glance per eyeball. Stingy, stingy. What happened to the age of free previews? Get your mind out of the gutter, Phoenix. Your Honor, about this robot part. Doesn't look like it could be a part from a robot here. Well, now that you mention it, it does, doesn't it? But the case still it's too big to be practical for just a moon rock and a robot arm. Oh, sorry, wrong button. But it was really just the one arm that was in there. If it wasn't a Cena in the case, then maybe... It was Ponko? No. Don't let it be Ponko. Your Honor, it is the defense assertion that it was this other robot that was in the case. What?
Objection.
We can't be certain that part belonged to a robot. Yes, it looks like the arm of one before, but it could have been something else entirely. Plus, it's wrapped entirely in bandaging, making it difficult to verify what it is.
Objection!
I know for a fact that it is the robot's arm. I can even tell which robot it belonged to just by looking at it. With this information, we can investigate whether it was there at the time or not. But Mr. Wright, I thought you were more of a I thought you were more of the technological illiterate type. When did you become such an expert? I feel somehow abandoned. Oh, don't worry, Your Honor. That's what I have Apollo and Athena for. Not to worry, Your Honor. I still know next to nothing about machines. This is what I have Athena and Apollo for. But I know this piece of evidence proves which robot the arm belonged to. Yeah. The robot in this picture, his name is Blanco. But take a look at Blanco's arms. It was Miss Sykes who bandaged it up like that. Hold on. Sorry, I have a little bit of a stuffy nose, so bear with me, chat. She must have thought that machines healed in the same way that people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. It reminds me of my own grandchild. Oh god, it's still there. In other words, this robot arm could belong to none other than Blanco. Order! Order in the court, I say. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you have to say to this? I can see that the robot is about the same size as a child, but it cannot grab its knees and curl itself up into a ball. Even if it was the largest of the cases, the robot couldn't possibly fit in there. The case does come up to about mid-size on Prosecutor Blackwell. I see your point. The robot is much taller than that. They've got me there. So then the Prosecutor Blackwell Of course Blanco would fit. All Prosecutor Blackwell has to do is dismantle her. Once taken apart, the robot could have easily fit inside that rolling case. It appears to be a robot assembling device. Disassembling anything in a flash. Push the dismantle button. Sounds like pretty neat. Can I push it, Mr. Nick? It sounds rather violent, but Mr. Wright does have a point there. Except that there was a body on the table where the robots were dismantled and assembled. There would have been no room to take the robot apart. But what if it wasn't done on the table? What if the katana was used instead? You mean the sword? Yes, Your Honor. Miss Blackwell, I'd like your opinion as a woman of science. Is it true that the katana could even be used to take the katana could have been used to take the robot apart? I suppose so. Their joints aren't made of a very tough material. A blade could slice through them. Thank you for your expert opinion, Miss Blackwell. Thanks to you, we now know that the existence of the severed arm in this photo proves that Blanco was taken apart. In addition, since the rest of Blanco was not found at the scene, we can conclude that the true meaning of this photo is very different than the original interpretation. You can't mean. That's exactly what I mean. This photo does not capture the moment of the murder. Instead, it's a picture of the moment after the robot was sliced apart. The blood you see there was where the arm was cut off was transferred there by a bloody katana. Most likely the rest of Blanco is scattered around Blackwell's feet. Not hearing this. Therefore, what is transported inside that case was not the defendant, but a robot. Miss Sykes was never at the scene of the crime at the time of the murder. Ugh. Ah! My head! My head! My body! Where am I? Gah! Order! Order in the court! It's true that Bronco was found in pieces after the murder. And I'll admit, I repaired her myself afterwards. Yes, I'm finally making some progress. Hopefully I've gotten at least one step closer to proving both Athena and Prosecutor Blackwell innocent. And there was where we tried to start taking step 2. Well played, Mr. Wright. You made your point abundantly clear. I concede that it wasn't the defendant inside the rolling case, but the robot. All right, what's going on here? It's never good when he plays things this straight. Does the prosecution withdraw its claim that the defendant was carried from the scene? No, Your Honor. My claim hasn't changed. But Blanco and Miss Sykes couldn't have both fit inside that case. The notion that the case was carried to... The notion that the case was used to carry Miss Sykes was Miss Blackwell's theory. I had been of a different opinion from the outset. Now I finally have the opportunity to voice my theory. Thanks to the defense. Fuck. It's like we played right into his trap. Fuck, we do that all the time. Edgeworth. He's been one step ahead of me this whole time. In that case, how do you propose the defendant left the crime scene? Simple. The footage only shows Prosecutor Blackwell from behind. What more? He's holding his arm in front of his body, as if he was holding something or someone. That's hardly evidence. I have proof. The surcoat Prosecutor Blackwell was wearing. The victim's blood was found on the front of it, and the stain has highly distinct shape. A blood stain with a distinct shape. Please continue, Prosecutor Edgeworth. 7 years ago, the defendant was known to constantly wear a certain item, which there is only one of in the world. A special pair of headphones made just for her. She always wore these big, heavy-looking headphones. She said her mother made them for her as part of her research. Analysis shows that the bloodstain to be in the exact same shape as these headphones. In other words, this was no mere blood splatter. The blood went out from the victim's body to the headphones, and then it was imprinted onto Prosecutor Blackwell's coat like a stamp. A most gruesome stamp indeed. Even more gruesome than the one that killed Drew I forgot his last name. That one guy. You know who I'm talking about? You know who I'm talking about. Blackwell carried Miss Sykes, who has been hit by the splatter, away from the crime scene. This proves that Athena Sykes was, without question, present at the crime scene. And that concludes the prosecution's argument. Nah! Order! If the defendant was indeed at the scene, it does deepen the suspicion against her. But we are also shown that the robot was there at the scene as well. I hope you're not making a ridiculous claim that a simple robot was the real murderer. I don't really think that. No, but you can't say the possibility isn't there. Detective Fulbright, was the robot questioned at the time? No, I don't see any record of it. I believe it was considered unrelated to the case. But as it turns out, the robot was actually integrally related. Your Honor, the defense would like to call Paco to the stand! A robot witness? Your Honor, you're looking at a man who called a parrot to the stand. Order! Order in the court! Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you think about this? Mr. Wright has called a manner of witnesses to the stands over the years. So why not a robot? Nothing surprises me anymore with him. Like I said, I've called a parrot to the stand. Very well, I will allow the witness. Bailiff, please summon the robot named Ponko. Witness, state your name and occupation. My name is not Witness! My name is Ponko! Yes, I realize that, but when you are at the witness stand, you are the witness. No, I'm not! I am Ponko! Say it with me! Ponko! What an utterly inflexible little robot. You're the last person who should be calling anybody inflexible. Haha, you remind me of my grandchild who just learned his own name. Oh, how precious. Alright, Ponko. I'm going to ask you some questions. Questions? You have questions? Hooray! What are your questions? I want to know if you were there at the scene of the murder of Metra Sykes. It was 7 years ago on the 7th of October, around 2 p.m. in the robotics lab. Certainly. Just one moment. Searching data. Searching complete. Yes! I was there in the robotics lab. It would seem this robot's testimony is necessary to the case after all. This is great. I just knew Ponko must have seen something important. A murder committed right before this poor little girl's eyes. It's unexcusable. Your Honor, are you talking about the judge or are you talking about Asina? I think the judge is talking about Ponko. The judge seems ready to adopt Ponko as another grandchild. So, little Ponko, do you think you could give us your testimony today? What I saw. I went to the robotics lab about 2 p.m. for my regular recharge. Just as I was about to charge up, Asina came in and hugged Mommy and Mitress. Then Mommy Mitress fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I don't know anything. After I charged up, I was cleaning the room, and then Mr. Simon came in. And then an error occurred. There is no data after that point. Well, it sounds like the defendant was without a question at the scene. However, it doesn't appear that the witness saw the actual moment of the murder. I disagree. This testimony shows that the defendant did indeed commit the crime. What? At the end of the day, we mustn't forget that the witness is still a machine. Being a robot, its understanding and capabilities to express itself are limited. So what are you suggesting? The witness statement needs to be interpreted. For example, the term hugged and then later fell down. Adults don't usually fall down after being hugged by a child. They don't, but... Yes, but what this witness statements are telling us is that the defendant stabbed the victim with the murder weapon during this moment. Well, what? Before Miss Sykes hugged Dr. Sykes, did the two of them converse? Yes, they did. They spoke to each other very loudly. I don't know what they said. Athena is usually so quiet. I was so surprised. Spoke very loudly. We can interpret this to mean they argued. I see. Murder is after a heated argument, and then the victim fell down. I agree. That doesn't sound like a reasonable interpretation. Let's see. I need somebody who can translate. Robot, for me, please. However, Ponko doesn't seem to remember anything after that. When I am recharging, I go into sleep mode. But I remember everything before that. I have a very good memory. You may as well admit defeat now, right? A cross-examination would be useless. So don't be ridiculous. A cross-examination is never useless. Are you forgetting? For any cross-examination can be. I went to the robotics lab about 2 p.m. for my regular recharge. Your regular recharge? What is that exactly? I had to refill my battery's power or else I stop working. I go to the lab to do that. So that recharge occurs around 2 p.m., around the time of the murder. That's right. I go every day at 2 p.m. Just as I was about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy's mattress. Hugged her, huh? Which Edgeworth took to mean stab her with a weapon. You say that the two of them were talking before Miss Sykes hugged her mother, is that right? Yes, they were talking very loudly, but I couldn't tell what they were saying. Couldn't tell, even though they were speaking so loudly. I'm only allowed to listen to voices that are directed at me. If it listened to every voice, it would be a little better than a mobile eavesdropper. Well, that explains why some of Ponko's testimony is so vague. It's a shame our little friend wasn't listening in, however. We could have learned what they were talking about just before Dr. Sykes was killed. Now then, what happened after that?
Hold it!
I don't want to dive too deeply here, but could you tell us how the victim appeared and acted at this moment? Mommy Mattress was very surprised when she was hugged. I heard her heart pound. Her heart. Mr. Wright, have you forgotten about this document we found in the robotics lab? These robots have a heartbeat detection system. Now that he mentions it, I do remember reading something like that in there. I didn't really read it. They detect the presence of people by the sound of their heartbeats. But wait a minute. That means if Dr. Sykes really did die at this moment... Ponko, how was Dr. Sykes after she fell down? Could you still hear the sound of her heartbeat? Let's see. The moment she fell, her heart was pounding. After that, I don't know. I started recharging just then. Of all unlucky timing! If you heard anything after that, could possibly prove that the hug wasn't actually the moment of the murder. I'm very sorry. I'm afraid I don't know. I am very sorry. The robot is designed to go into sleep mode automatically, so it can't be helped. But it does appear to detect an increased heart rate. It detected an increased heart rate at the moment of the stabbing. After Mommy Mattress' heart started pounding in surprise, she fell down by the window. It was around the window, on the workbench side of the room. The workbench, huh? Ponko must be talking about that table to the right where that giant robot is now. Is there something critical in Ponko's statement just now? Your Honor, I believe the statement is critical. I'd like it added to your testimony. Very well. Ponko, could you please add that statement to your testimony? That's a good little girl. Let's see. There are 2 round windows in the robotics lab. Which one did you mean? The one on the right, near the hanging scroll. The hanging scroll was Mommy Mitra's prized possession. Okay, in the pictures of the crime from 7 years ago, there is definitely a hanging scroll and a Japanese theater mask hanging on the workbench sidewall. But is there some problem with the statement? It's the wrong side of the room. After I charged up, I was cleaning the room, and Mr. Simon came in.
Hold it!
Prosecutor Blackwell. I wonder what he went there for. His objective? I don't know. I don't know. I guess I can't very well ask Panko to speculate. So what happened after Prosecutor Blackwell arrived?
Hold it!
You don't remember what happened next? An error, huh? I wonder if... All data suddenly cuts off at that point. I don't know anything after that. The answer to that question is right here. According to the defense's theory, this photo shows when the robot was being taken apart. Exactly. We can conclude that Panko's error was the result of her being dismantled. Indeed. The bodies of these robots are designed to be controlled remotely by a separate computer. Yes, that's basically what Miss Blackwell explained to us too. She said that their hearts and memories are stored on a separate computer. When the witness was taken apart, she lost the use of her body, but not her memories. That's how she is now able to still give us testimony about the events of that day. Fascinating. It's as if she can seriously be wounded, but her soul still burns. There are a few parts of Panko's testimony that are hard to interpret. Edris chose to interpret hugged as stabbed, but I better try iron out who did what and did what, where, and to whom for myself. Hold on, Asina. I'm going to save you. Hey.
Objection!
There we go. Panko, your statement may have just inspired a breakthrough. I was helpful? Hooray! I'm so happy! Just to be sure, let's go over it again, okay? The victim fell near the window on the workbench side of the room. However, her body was discovered on the operating table. But the operating table and the workbench are 2 different locations. Exactly, Your Honor. We have just learned a new crucial fact. What could explain the 2 very different locations of the body? I'll tell you what. An 11-year-old girl couldn't move the heavy body of an adult. So the only explanation is that the victim walked to the operating table herself. In other words, what Panko observed near the workbench couldn't possibly have been the moment of the murder. Phew, I'm very relieved to hear that. Glad to know that the murder wasn't committed in front of little Panko here. The judge is treating Panko so cutesy, like he's her grandchild, his grandchild. Yes, as we just heard in the testimony, Miss Sykes hugged her mother, nothing more.
Objection!
Right. It's been 8 years, but you're still just as green as ever. Green? But I can't recall ever seeing Mr. Wright. Hey, Mr. Wright in anything but a blue suit. Oh, Your Honor, you don't remember the tracksuit? Or the sweater? Sure. Hey, blue's my favorite color. What can I say? If If the defendant couldn't move the body herself, she could have had it moved for her. But Miss Sykes and Dr. Sykes were the only ones there. I agree. Since the robot is equipped as a heartbeat detection system, it would have been aware of another person's presence if someone else has been there. We can therefore conclude that the defendant and the victim were the only ones present. Then who do you suggest moved the body? Don't you know it's in the nature of the robot? Don't you know it's in the nature of a robot to help people do things? Miss Palenko. Edgeworth, you didn't say her name right. Allow me to ask you a question. My name is Paco! Say it with me! Paco! I believe you said you were cleaning after Dr. Sykes fell down. Did you happen to move something large onto the operating table? Yes! Yes, I did! Estina asked me to. Estina asked you to. And what did you move, little Ponko? I don't know. Unless something had an ID tag, I can't tell what it is. An ID tag, you say? Hold on. She's not wearing her jacket. Yes, a tag with a barcode on it. We robots scanned them to tell us what a thing is. I mean, I kind of dig it. Not gonna lie. That paper in the lab did mention something about that. Recognize people by scanning their spacesuit or uniform jacket ID ID tag, it said. So it appeared that Miss Palenko... Edgeworth's still not caring how to say her name, right? We're also saying this to the man who would call the Psycholox. Here, can't identify what it moved. My name is Ponko! But we humans have the power to imagine what it was, do we not? But we do? Well, I do at very least. Miss Panko, on the defendant's command, move the body onto the operating table. Yeah. Panko, did you really move Dr. Sykes' body? This is really important. Is there any way you could tell? I don't know. Without an ID tag, I can't tell. Give it up, Wright. If the victim's heart was stopped, the robot's detection system would be useless. Furthermore, Dr. Sykes usually wore her right coat while she was working. She kept her jacket with her ID tag on it and draped it over a chair in the robotics lab. And only wore it for special occasions. In other words, the victim wasn't wearing her ID tag at the time. From the robot's point of view, her body was simply just another object.
Objection!
But Paco is equipped with a facial recognition system. If she really did move the victim, she would have recognized the body as Dr. Sykes. But if she didn't, so that means... A face can easily be covered with a piece of cloth, a mask, or anything else for that matter. Fuck. Hold on. Let me look at the crime scene again. Oh shit, there is the cloth. With her face features hidden, the robot couldn't have been able to tell it was Dr. Sykes. He's right. To summarize, Miss Sykes stabbed her mother near the workbench, then using the robot, she moved the body to the table where she removed the sword and stained it in blood. And it was stained in blood. Okay. Take care of thyself. Order. But if that's the case, then I have a question. Why did the defendant move the body to the operating table in the first place? You want a reason? Very well. What? You can't possibly have... There is an explanation, and I just thought of it. It took me 2 seconds. Cena, when she was a kid, didn't know better how humans heal. So, in the shock of seeing her dead mother's body, she wanted her mother to be moved to the operating table to be, quote, fixed, because she didn't know that she needed to go to the hospital to try to fix it. Your emotions blind you to the truth. You could learn a lot from our robot friends. Calm down and rationalize thought. Calm and irrational thought will open your eyes to the truth in front of you, Mr. Wright. Now then, do you remember the operating table was one special feature? I believe it read the robots can be assembled and disassembled there. Isn't that right? That's right. And to the defendant, who was just a child at the time, the table was like a magic box that could make robots appear or disappear in seconds. But in the end, my mom just put her on the operating table and fixed her in a flash. I was so impressed by what my mom did. I even asked her if she would put me on the table and fix me if I ever got hurt. It just looks like magic to me, what she could do. You can't possibly be suggesting what I exactly just said earlier, Phoenix. This is young, sheltered girl had a difficult time distinguishing robots from people. But take a look at Ponko's arms. It was Miss Sykes who bandaged it up like that. She must have thought that machines heal in the same way people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. It reminds me of my own grandchild. No way. I refuse to believe it. Wait, hold on. Between 1 and 3 p.m. There's gotta be something. Miss Sykes made a childish, naive, and cruel mistake. She thought that if a robot could be dismantled and vanish without a trace... Prosecutor Edgeworth! If you're about to claim what I think you are, I demand that you word it as delicately as you can. With all due respect, Your Honor, all I can do is present the truth as it stands. The reason the defendant moved the victim's body to the operating table... No! Don't say another word! Just stop! Was to dismantle the evidence so that she could get away with her crime. Oh, yeah, right. That works too. That can't be true! Order! Order in the court! Order in the court, I say! Edgeworth. She was just a little kid. How can you say such horrible things? Horrible? Like I said, you're just as green as ever. I came here today as a prosecutor to seek only the truth. No more, no less. My theory is simply the result of a rational consideration of every possibility.
Objection!
But dismantling isn't the table's only function. It can make repairs as well. I'm blanking. It's conceivable that Miss Sykes moved her mother onto that table in order to fix her. I suppose that could be another way of interpreting it. But dismantling or repair, it doesn't matter either way. What do you mean? To be fair, Phoenix's theory he just presented would make no difference to what actually happened. After murdering her mother, Miss Sykes may have come to her senses. Perhaps she did want to make it appear as if it never happened. And that's why she tried to repair her mother. Yes, that's one possible explanation. But we mustn't forget the facts of this case. The victim was observed to fall down after being hugged by the defendant, and the body was moved per the defendant's command. These two facts that indicate the defendant's guilt, remain unchanged. This just can't be true. Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence to refute the prosecution's claim? Evidence? Right, let's see. I can't think of any. I'm afraid I don't have any evidence. Since becoming chief prosecutor, I've learned that the truth isn't always pretty. Now accept the truth, Mr. Wright. Your subordinate murdered her own mother. Your Honor, the prosecution demands a verdict. The hostages have suffered enough. What a terrible and tragic conclusion. If the defense has no counter-arguments, I see no further to prolong this trial. Edward's argument seems solid enough, but there's no way Athena could have ever done anything like that. What do I do? There has to be something. But I can't think of a single thing. Alright, who's yelling objection? Oh, hi, Blackwell! Prosecutor Blackwell? This is quite a facade you are concluding here. I could die from laughter. Well, you're dying tomorrow anyway, so as it stands, if we don't change things. Prosecutor Blackwell, what are you talking about? What am I talking about is that your argument is based on an entirely false premise. Go on, we're listening. Could this be the miracle I need? But what is Prosecutor Blackwell trying to pull here? 7 years. For 7 long years. This case has been on my mind. Not an instant did I not think of it. I'm the one who killed my mentor. And don't think you can alter that fact now. Your baldness, I will take to the stand, and I won't take no for an answer. You're already at the witness stand, Blackwell. Of course, Prosecutor Blackwell. Please go ahead. I went to the Cosmos Space Center with the intent of killing Dr. Sykes. But when I got there to the robotics lab, I found Encina there instead. I would not be swayed from my purpose, so I waited for Dr. Sykes to return. And then I committed the act. Ah, how charismatic it was. But little Ponko here witnessed the victim falling, in other words. I don't need any of your other words, old man. I can guess what happened. Which would be... She fell means she fell. Merely that. A mother and child fooling around. Perhaps she tripped. Not if that matters. When I entered the lab, there was no trace of Dr. Sykes to be seen. There was no dead body either. Of course. Meaning she must have left the room. So that murder occurred after the time period Ponko described in her testimony? You should hardly take a stock in the words of a wind-up toy.
Objection!
Then how do you explain the fact that the defendant had the robot move something? Athena was always tinkering with the robots on the operating table to amuse herself, and she always had Ponko move the heavy ones for her. That day was no different. Ponko moved the heavy robot for Athena. This is awful. What he's saying seems to make sense, and yet...
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackwell, are you even now trying to turn away from the truth? Do you realize what we could bring the dark age of the law to a close today?
Objection!
You expect too much from me. I'm just a murderer beyond redemption. Why don't you just let me go so I can settle down into hell? Oh, maybe I'll be a prosecutor go down there. Sorry. Just had to make that joke there. I felt like that joke was coming. Prosecutor Blackwell's execution is tomorrow. If the truth doesn't come out now, it's all over. Are you saying that the little girl and the robots have nothing to do with the murder? That's right. So let's hear your verdict. If you don't hurry, I might miss the fury across the sinks. Alright, don't you dare, Judge! Don't forget that I have hostages over here! And Simon, how long are you going to cover for her? Miss Blackwell? Forgive me, Aura. I never wanted you to do anything like this for me. But you agreed to this trial, and if you have an counter argument, then present your evidence. That's the rule of the courtroom. Isn't that right, Chief Prosecutor? Blackwell, you selfish! Well, to be frank, I don't like this, but it's my duty to make a decision. Your Honor, can't I cross-examine? Your Honor, isn't there anything I can do? If no one has a counter-argument, I will announce my verdict. Is this really happening? Is it really going to end just like it did 7 years ago? I wanted to do it so bad. Even now, I want to fly out of here and go save him. No, I can't tell her. But how can I lie to Athena? If I can't prove Prosecutor Blackwell's innocent in this trial, I don't think Athena will ever forgive me. I can't let this happen. But I just don't have the evidence to counter Prosecutor Blackwell's testimony. Okay, now who's gonna yell, hold it? Oh, hey, Athena! Athena? What are you feeling okay? I can hear it. I can hear the voice of his heart. He's hiding something. Ooh, do I need to bring out the Psychulax? Cause, ooh, I'm pretty sure his would be red. Unlike your black ones. If he really is, I could sure use Athena's help here. Her power might be just the thing to get us through this.
Objection!
Sykes Dono. No need for you to chime in here. Just accept that you're innocent.
Objection!
These past 7 years, they've just been hard on me. They have been just as hard on me, you know. What are you talking about? Do you remember that horrible trial? Please, you have to listen to me. He didn't kill her. His heart is screaming that he didn't kill her. Even now, every time I stand in the courtroom, it comes back to haunt me. Not being heard, no matter how hard you try. Feeling so helpless. Caught in people's stares, so scared that it feels like your chest is in a vase. I'm terrified of courtrooms. I want to run out. I want to run out of that door even now. And yet you found a way to keep your fears at bay and could become a lawyer. Thanks. That's because of one day, I came to realize that I had to fight. I couldn't give up. I exercised hard and studied hard. I wanted to become a lawyer, the strongest lawyer I could be. This day has finally come. The day I've been looking forward to with all my heart. This is why I became a lawyer. And this is why I studied psychology. It was all to save you from this false conviction. But Miss Sykes, do you realize what it would mean? You are accused after all. If you prove Prosecutor Blackwell innocent, then the only thing that matters is the truth. It is my duty to find out what the truth is. Simon, please, give me this chance. The chance to shake off this fear that has been with me for 7 years and face the truth. Athena is being so brave, confronting her past like this. This might be the last chance to save them both. Prosecutor Blackwell, please testify one more time about the incident 7 years ago. Fine. But your efforts will surely be in vain. For I am not a man who can be cut down easily. Here we go, Simon. Let me hear the voice of your heart. I went to the Cosmos Space Center with the intent of killing Dr. Sykes. But when I got to the robotics lab, I found Athena there instead. I would not be enswaved from my purpose, so I waited for Dr. Sykes to return. And then I committed the act. Ah, how charismatic it was. I feel like this anger is a little weird. Okay, nope. Wait a minute. It really isn't strange here, I guess. Nope. Wait! Yeah. This feeling of happiness. Even though the person you were looking for wasn't there, you felt happy. Why is that? Simple. When I was looking for Athena and hadn't found her yet, I grew worried. So when I saw her in the robotics lab, I was happily revealed. Merely that. Just now, you said that you went to the Space Center to kill Dr. Sykes. But first thing you did was look for her daughter instead? I had no intention of harming Athena, so I wanted to confirm that she was safe first. It was just a part of my plan. Nothing contradictory about that. Gah. The second I find an inconsistency, he cuts it down. Simon knows the principle of analytical psychology. There's less noise, but I don't see any consistencies we can latch on to. It was afraid of that, but just has to keep chipping away at him, and then bit by bit. Could you update his testimony, Athena? You got it, boss. Went to the Cosmos Space Center with the intent of killing Dr. Sykes. When I found Athena in the robotics lab, I was relieved. But I would not be swayed from my purpose, so I waited for Dr. Sykes to return. Okay, that's new. Now, not even you can falsify your emotions, Not even you can falsify your emotions, Prosecutor Blackwell. What? When you said that you killed Dr. Sykes in your testimony, you felt sadness. Why would someone that had lain in wait to kill her be saddened at her death? Such an obvious attack. Yes, I felt sadness, but it wasn't for her. I felt sorrow for Athena and her circumstances. Gah! He can't talk about that, can he? I was just a convenient subject for her research. Dr. Seiss was so intent on her research, she forced her daughter into undergoing experiments. My objective was to save Athena from an obsessive scientist who treated her own daughter like a research subject. But what? I went to the psychology lab first. That's where I usually find Athena playing. But that day was different. I heard someone crying in the robotics lab next door. Was Athena being subject to yet another experiment? I thought as I went to see her. Conveniently, Athena had cried herself to sleep, so all I had to do was wait and kill. So that's why he was revealed when he saw Athena. But is this story really true? I'm not sure how much to believe. Mr. Wright, how are you doing, Athena? Still hanging in there? I'm a lot stronger than I look, boss. Now take a look at this. This noise level is actually increased. It went up? I've never seen it do that before. Prosecutor Blackwell is lying somewhere in his testimony. As a matter of fact, he's piling lie on top of lie in an attempt to make his claim sound more believable. He's trying even harder to suppress his true feelings. That's what's causing the noise. So do I need to bust out the psyche locks? As much as he knows about your tactics, does he really know about mine? Well, so the chief prosecutor knows about mine. So whoops. I would say let's get a polo in here, but Blackwell also knows about his perceiving. So we're kind of fucked. Also, Apollo's off on his own investigation, so. How in the world should I approach this? Psyche locks! Psyche locks! An evidence-based approach might work if I can find a contradiction. Otherwise, I should look for an inconsistency in his emotions. There's no flaws in my testimony, and his baldness is prepared to give his verdict. Give up on this lost cause and let the law free me of these chains already.
Objection!
I don't think so. Not while I'm around. Now, contradict your testimony or consistency emotions. What should I tackle first? I think I should go for his emotions because we might get some more evidence. Okay, let's look for inconsistent motions. Got it, boss. But if you want to try looking for a contradictory statement instead, just let me know. I can easily switch over. I heard crying from the other door, and of course I was worried. That surprise is fear is a little, it makes sense though. I hurried over and opened the door to the robotics lab. Before I could lead Athena out of there, curse my luck, Dr. Seiss came in. I refused to hand Athena over. I had no choice but to kill my mentor. Yeah, not gonna lie, this surprise gets me a little weird. Nope. Okay. I feel like I want to... If you see an unusual or replace emotion, just point it out. Is there really an inconsistency in his emotions, though? We could take a break and go back to looking for contradictory testimony. Yeah, let's try his testimony. Okay, let's compare the testimony with the evidence one more time. When I heard crying, of course I was worried. And I can't just press. Like, that would get me far anyways. So why can't I just use Psyche Locks? Why can't I just bring some Psyche Locks? That would help, right? So we usually never use Psyche Locks in court. I really don't know how to tackle this. I really don't think we have anything in the testimony for evidence-wise. So let's start just pinpointing the emotions again. I think both of these are fine. Might be a little too... How odd. Why would you register surprise at opening the door to the lab? Alright, fine. I'll explain if I must. What surprised me was Ponko. That toy figure attacked me. Dr. Sykes knew full well of my plan to rescue Athena, but she couldn't stand guard over her daughter 24 hours a day. So Dr. Sykes had Ponko do it. That's right. She ordered Ponko to forcibly remove me on sight. So I slashed Ponko up with the katana that was there in the lab. That rickety old puppet wasn't worthy of that fine blade. Mr. Wright, it's happening again. There's even more noise now. Jesus Christ. It's all at 100% now. What's going on here? Whenever we find an opening, he covers it with lies. We'll never get rid of the noise at this rate. It's pretty hard to keep coherent. It's pretty hard to keep coherent lies like that. His mind and will are ready as sharp and strong as a katana. All right, what should I tackle first? Wait, he said Ponko attacked him. Hold on. Hold it. I would like his testimony, thank you. I think there might be an inconsistency in Prosecutor Blackwell's testimony. All right, let's give it a thorough check then.
Objection!
Compounding lies with more lies is never the answer, Prosecutor Blackwell. Take a look at this photo. That's the photo of the supposed moment of the murder, isn't it? How many more times must I see which damn me for my sins? That's the ironic thing. I think this picture is actually going to be your savior now. See this bloodstain at the end of Paco's arm where it was severed with the katana? I hope you're not claiming it's the robot's blood, Mr. Wright. Your Honor! Robots don't bleed red. God. They bleed white. Gosh, get your facts straight. No, that's just me referencing to Escape. No, most likely the blood was transferred there, was from the bloody katana. The katana already had blood on it, so then it must have been the victim's blood. That's right, but if that's the case, we have a glaring inconsistency. You said in your testimony that you cut up Ponko, then you killed Dr. Sykes. In spite of that, the victim's blood is already on Ponko's arm in the picture. What? But it couldn't be. Exactly. In order for the blood to have transferred from the sword to Ponko's arm, the victim must have been stabbed first before the robot was slashed. In other words, Prosecutor Blackwell, your entire testimony is nothing but one giant ball of lies. Gah! Tell the court the truth, Prosecutor Blackwell, now. You have no idea what you're doing. His voice. There's so much discord. I'm hearing just not one or two, but a bunch of rampaging emotions here. It's hard to describe. It's like a violent whirlpool or something. Phoenix Wright, you will pay for this. I'm the king of plot armor. What are you gonna do? Never have I been forced to reveal so much. But the rest I'll take to my grave. Prosecutor Blackwell, you are on the witness stand. You are obliged to tell the truth. Isn't that the rule of the courtroom? All these complex emotions, they seem to be flowing from one source. I think whatever he really saw that day is what's causing these feelings. Christ, what do I do with this? The root of all these emotions is this. No, it's not Ponko. Then it must be a... I was right. But Quill must have came into that room and saw Destiny killed her mom. When you opened the door and saw Asina, you were overwhelmed. You became overwhelmed by your emotions. Isn't that right, prosecutor? You should know better. And though it's pathetic, I admit I am terrified to speak of it. Prosecutor Blackwell, Miss Sykes is innocent. I will always believe that with all my heart. Now, can't you find it within yourself to believe in me too? Asina is innocent, huh? Can you honestly say that you believe that to be true? Right, Dono? I give you my word. Now tell me what you really saw when you opened that door. Curse you, Phoenix Wright! It was a tragedy. One I'll never forget. When I arrived at the lab, Dr. Syke was already dead. She was lying on the operating table, while the bloody katana laid on the floor. And standing between the two, covered in blood, was Asina. She smiled with a far-off look in her eye, as if she sweetly said, "Something's wrong with Mom, so I'm taking her apart to fix her." Deny your sword its purpose. That's what I saw, and now you have it. The truth that you so desperately wanted. No. Prosecutor Blackwell finally tells the truth. And this is what it was! It's beyond devastating. I tried to take my mother apart. I No! So it was me. I'm the one who killed my mother. Asina! As I said, right. The truth isn't always pretty. Murder, assembly on the operating table, a scientist using her daughter as a guinea pig. Sadly, it appears that my theory was correct after all.
Objection.
It's true that Asina didn't like her mother's research, but you dare cast the apparition on my mentor by claiming Asina was used in such a manner? Dr. Sykes could be awkward with people, but she loved her daughter with all her heart. She loved me? Asina, I think that earring of yours is kind of the proof that she loved you. Your mother hated to see you suffer because you could hear the voices of people's hearts. She wanted to set you free of your pain, so she worked tirelessly on her research. Do you remember those headphones you hated so much? Yeah. My head hurt every time I wore them. No, Asina. It's just the opposite. They emitted sound waves to nullify emotional input from the voices of the people around you. Your power is so much stronger than it is now. And those headphones were what enabled you to carry on with everyday life. No, that can't be true. Why? Why would I have done something like that to somebody who loved me so much? Her love for you was real. That I can guarantee. That's why I knew. That's what happened. Had to be some kind of mistake. I couldn't let you be punished for it. So you took the blame yourself. You and your mentor are more alike than you know. Panko was a witness, so I put it in the case and held Athena close and vacated the lab. I threw Panko away in the boarding lounge in the trash chute, and I hid the case in the Space Center grounds. It would seem that we now have all the facts of this case. No, not yet! I can't end it like this!
Objection!
Don't disgrace yourself, Mr. Wright. The truth has been revealed. Or are you the type of man who turns your back on things that you disagree with? I'm not, but this... I can't give up now. I have to say something. Anything, even if it's a bluff. I've always managed to pull through that way in the past. I have to make it work. The defense is prepared to present evidence. Mr. Wright? Yes, Athena? It's okay. You can stop now. I don't want you to or anyone else to suffer any longer for my sake. Athena, what are you saying? I killed my mother. That's the truth. It's just like Prosecutor Edgeworth said. We have to face it, no matter how much it hurts. I admit my guilt. But could I please be granted just one chance to tell everyone what I recall? It appears Miss Sykes is much braver than you, Mr. Wright. What say you, Your Honor? In light of her courage, will the court give Miss Sykes the opportunity to confess? Very well. Then if you will, please take the stand, Miss Sykes. Thank you for letting me do this, Prosecutor Edgeworth. And thank you, Mr. Wright and Prosecutor Blackwell, for letting the truth be known. Now we can finally move forward, and everyone's suffering can come to an end. Athena, Prosecutor Blackwell will be cleared, and the dark age of the law can come to an end. Yes, admit your guilt, and bring everything to its conclusion. I killed my mother. My memory is still a little hazy, but there's no question. I remember it. I remember the weight of the weapon in my hands and the feeling of it stabbing in deep. And I remember the warmth of her blood as it flowed down the handle onto my fingers. Your Honor, please find me guilty. I dare say these are all memories that no one but the murderer would have. Hey, Edgeworth, do you remember like 10 years ago? I see. Thank you for your confession. I believe this trial has gone on long enough. But before we can conclude, does anyone have a counter argument?
Objection!
I do, Your Honor. Mr. Wright? But, Mr. Wright, why? I killed her. I remember it now. Any kind of argument now is pointless. Don't tell me you've forgotten one of the basic tenets of lawyering. Always believe in the client to the bitter end. Asina, you're not a murderer.
Objection!
I say that you never change. But could you actually regress these 8 years? I won't stand for your childish emotionalism getting in the way of the truth. Emotionalism? Don't lecture me on the matter of the heart, Edgeworth. Because I can see it straight into a person's soul. Her psyche locks are still there. I did a little research. I looked into the special psyche locks that you mentioned, Mr. Nick. Asina is trying to keep anything isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself. There's still a chance, somewhere deep in Asina's heart. There might still be a memory that not even she knows about yet. It might be looking for a giant grand in the sand somewhere in the cosmos, but still, that memory might contain a new fact that could prove her innocence. I hope for everyone's sake that you're not just bluffing, Mr. Wright. Oh, Your Honor, you don't know about the psyche locks. Hey, Edgeworth, do you remember when you got to do psyche locks for me? Oh, I'm sorry, the psyche locks. Now then, is there not a problem with Miss Sykes' confection? I remember the weight of the weapon in my hands, the feeling of it stabbing deep, and I remember the warmth of her blood as it flowed down. Fuck, it doesn't say how deep. There's definitely something wrong with her memory of the event. I can just tell. Is there a problem with her confession? Please prove it to the court now. Do I just show her in the Moonrock earring? Can determine a person's presence of a human with a heartbeat detection system. Recognizes people by scanning their spacesuit or uniform ID tag, and can also recognize a person by facial features once the face has been registered. Can interview with people's emotions by analyzing their tone of voice and communicate with them. I feel like it's gotta be this. And what contradiction does this piece of evidence prove? Well, sometimes you have to flip or tilt a thing in a new way to look at it, Your Honor. And I suggest you get a new way of looking at things yourself, Mr. Robot. You said, Wait a second. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. The victim's blood was only found on the blade. Isn't that the katana the defendant used to kill the victim, Mr. Wright? I respectfully and personally disagree, Your Honor. But I remember it! I remember holding the weapon and getting blood on my fingers. That's exactly my point. If the blood really did get on your fingers while you were holding it, there should be blood on the handle. But please focus on the handle of the sword. There's not a trace of blood on it. And therefore, this is clearly a contradiction of the facts. You're right. Oh my!
Objection.
The defendant must simply be confused by a portion of her memories. She mentioned it was hazy to begin with, and we can't muddle over every minor detail. Oh, come on, Edgeworth. You say I haven't changed in 8 years? Well, you're goddamn right, Phoenix hasn't.
Objection!
But she also said there's no question I remember it. A fact we can't ignore. In that case, why don't you explain what this contradiction with her memory means? Gladly! Just give me a sec to think of something. I want to say that Sita didn't stab anyone, but she said it herself that she remembers the feeling of committing the act. Think, Phoenix, think! What could it contradict with Asina's memories mean? Miss Sykes said the blood flowed down her hand. The blood flowed down the handle, but the katana the handle is spotless. So doesn't it follow that the defendant must have used? Doesn't it follow that the defendant must have used a weapon other than the katana? What are you up to this time? This is it. This time I found just the thing that ended Asina's nightmare for good. The weapon that took Dr. Sykes' life was the katana. That much is for sure. So if I can show the possibility that Asina didn't use the katana, it could help me prove her innocence. A different weapon, you say? What weapon would that be exactly? Right, of course. He would ask that. I can see you're floundering, Mr. Wright. Did you speak without thinking again? As always. How does he do that? But I can't back down. Not here. Not now. Ow, fuck. That's right. I did. Because it's so obvious it didn't require any thought. What did you say? Okay, so maybe that was an exaggeration, but there has to be something. Was there something other than a blade in the robotics lab that day? Maybe there was something in one of the other crime scenes. Wait a minute! There is something! There is a high probability that was in the lab. I don't have any particular weapon here. I don't have the particular weapon here in evidence right now, but I do have a piece of evidence just like it! Other than the katana, this is another blade that might have been at the crime scene. But that's the murder weapon in the Tyrion case. Yes, that is the knife that took Mr. Tyrion's life. But there must have been a knife just like this at the scene 7 years ago as well. Toolkits containing utility knives like this are issued to Space Center employees, and the robotics lab especially wouldn't naturally have one of these around. But besides the katana, no other bladed weapon was found at the site. It was in an investigation report. It was in the investigation report. If you didn't know.
Objection!
Oh, of course I knew that. Once you told me just now. Then there's something else that you've already knew. There was a toolkit at the scene, but it didn't contain any blades. Here's a photo of its contents. Oh, it looks like a knife is missing. You're right. I don't see any kind of bladed tool. Fine, but isn't there something odd about the design of these handles? Therefore, there was no other bladed weapon in the room. I disagree. This toolkit contained a knife. And what proofs do you have of that? Don't tell me your eyes are for art is failing you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You're the last person in the world who should be criticizing my heuristic sense. Now, he's simply watching out for your oracle health, please. Now, please proceed, Mr. Wright. Okay, we get it. They're getting old. They're in their 30s. Hey, chat, just so you know, in about 5 years, you could be saying that about me. That I'm getting old. I'm in my 30s. You can say that to me in about 5 years, okay? Oh, you know what's funny? I have a feeling. I have a feeling. I know exactly. There's gonna be at least one of my moderators is gonna bring up that joke when I turn 30. I'm not looking forward to that. But hey, I got to like 2028 until that happens. Someday I'll be 30, and someday I'll be like, I'm getting old. I'm in my 30s. Notice that the handles of each of these tools have a sort of design to them. Ah, I see that they do. But what significance does that have? It's clear that one of these tools is missing from the kit. If we arrange the tools into a specific pattern, we might be able to tell which part of the overall design is missing. Is that the theory your pitiful sense of aesthetic helps you come up with? Edgeworth, just let it go, man. Handsworth, I've been wearing glasses since I was like a kid, so shut your fucking face. In real life, not the VTuber has never worn glasses. Show the court then, if you would. What pattern would you see if you recreate the tools? The logo! And what design is that supposed to represent? The Galaxy logo, Your Honor. It's on all the Space Center documents and pamphlets. As you are aware, Galaxy is the program that operates the Cosmos Space Center. Look how brightly the Galaxy glow shines in the sunlight above the entranceway. I really dig the stars and rocket motif it's got going up. Galaxy, huh? Is that the name of the Federal Space R&D program? Ah, I think I see it now. But yes, with just the tools shown in this photo, the red A part of the logo is missing. And this is where the murder weapon was found. The murder weapon from Tyrion's case would come into play. If you place the utility knife in the open slot, boom, it would complete the Galaxy logo. So it would. Then that means, admit it, Mr. Edgeworth, my heuristic sense is keener than yours. And while you're at it, admit that the weapon that Miss Sykes used could have been this one. Yeah. Order in the court. Miss Sykes confessed to having the memory of stabbing the victim. Admittedly, Miss Sykes most certainly did stab someone using the utility knife. However, the weapon used to kill Dr. Sykes was the katana. Therefore, the act of stabbing that Miss Sykes remembers couldn't have been that of Dr. Sykes. Very well. Let's suppose that for a moment that Miss Sykes did use the utility knife. Tell me, how does that change anything? I thought you would ask where it was, because where it was, what happened to it, because I had no answers for that one either. I don't have answers. Come again. What if the katana was only being used as a decoy to conceal the true murder weapon? What if the real weapon that took the victim's life was the utility knife? Then we'd have another parallel. And don't be ridiculous. Or are you changing the premise of your entire argument? I'm merely offering a hypothetical situation. It derived from your logic. Miss Sykes could put blood on the katana to make it look like the murder weapon, and then concealed the knife on her personnel until Black Quill carried her away. That does clear up the contradiction between Miss Sykes' memories and the evidence. If in fact the murder weapon is a utility knife, then fate has dealt you a cruel hand. If you have just proven the knife's existence if you just have proven the knife's existence to the rest of us with your own logic, the prosecution is attempting to lead the court. You're the one attempting to lead the court, Mr. Wright, by forcing us to forget the facts of the case. Need I remind you that there's only 2 people in the lab at the time of the murder, and that the defendant herself recalls stabbing someone with her own hands? No. It matters not what the murder weapon was, a katana or a utility knife, as long as we know that the victim and the defendant were the only ones there. You cannot escape the fact that it was Athena Sykes who killed her own mother. I don't believe it. Why does this keep happening? Every time I find a contradiction, it vanishes and the suspicion keeps coming back. It's almost as if... Now you're finally starting to get it. Your contradictions keep vanishing because the charge is true. And the suspicion keeps coming back to the defendant because that's where it belongs. Phoenix Wright, when will you open your eyes and accept the truth? Ah! I don't want to believe it. It can't be true. But what if... Mr. Wright, you fought a good fight. I think you've done all you can do. Is giving up really the only option? No. Snap out of it, Phoenix! What's the matter with you? Giving up? Giving into doubt? I can't look back. Forward is the only way to go! No, Your Honor, not yet. It isn't over yet. Right. I can't lose sight of what's important. I believe in Athena, and I will always believe in her. To the very end. A defense lawyer never gives up on his client. I have to pick myself up and stand firm. Make that brain of yours work, Phoenix. If I don't see a way, I'll just have to go back and look for one. Time to rethink this case. Thoroughly. I concede that the fact that Athena must have stabbed someone with the utility knife. This must have been what Ponko witnessed as Athena's hug. But Prosecutor Blackquill didn't see the knife at the scene. This means that someone must have removed it from the lab before he arrived. Who could have taken the utility knife from the lab? If I trust in Athena, then I do have to conclude that there was a 3rd person at the scene. But according to Ponko's testimony, Athena and her mother were the only 2 there. So how did this 3rd person manage to escape Ponko's detection? I know, this person must have fooled Ponko's face recognition by concealing... But wait a minute. Ponko has a heartbeat detection system too. Even if they covered their own face, Ponko would have still detected their presence. But she wouldn't have been able to tell who they were. Wait, that's it! The culprit could have covered their face and posed as which person to avoid detection. If the culprit posed as the victim, that would explain why Ponko only saw she and Athena were there. All they had to do was take advantage of Ponko's basic face recognition features. The culprit used this in order to pose as the victim. The culprit could have posed as the victim by wearing her her jacket with the ID tag on it. But that still leaves the heartbeat detection system. How did the culprit get around that? It wouldn't have worked if Bonko could detect the real Dr. Seuss's heartbeat too. So does that mean the real Dr. Seuss was already dead by that time? If that's the case, who did Destinies stab? That's it! The person Destinies stabbed wasn't Dr. Sykes. It was the person who murdered her and then pretended to be her. The real culprit. Do we have any evidence that backs this up, Phoenix? Now that Mr. Wright has finally finished thinking, let us bring this to a swift end. Please give us your verdict, Your Honor, so that we can move to the hostage negotiations. You're absolutely right, Prosecutor Edgeworth. I hereby... I didn't say what I was finished. I only pausing for a second, because I realized something so shocking that I had to take a break to digest it. But now I know for a fact that Miss Sykes is innocent. Well, not completely innocent. She still stabbed somebody. But Panko saw me. She witnessed the moment of the crime. Yes, Panko did witness something. She saw the hug. In other words, the moment you used the utility knife. But the person you stabbed wasn't your mother. What are you saying, Mr. Wright? The answer is simple. The person Miss Sykes stabbed was a third person posing as Dr. Sykes. What? Do you really expect us to swallow that, Mr. Wright? According to the robot's statement, there was no third person there. Do you really think I wouldn't go through your ludicrous grab for time? After all we've been through, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm disappointed. Don't you know by now that the smile of mine means I have absolute confidence? Ha! You make that pose all the time, regardless of the facts. Conco strange malfunction. Mr. Tyrion, you look pale. Shall I help you to the sick bay? Mr. Tyrion? But that's Apollo you're talking to. Oh, this hunk of junk here is mistaken Apollo for Clay. Maybe Apollo is possessed by Kelly's ghost. That's another case of mistaking... That was another case of mistaking identity caused by a jacket ID tag. All because Conco couldn't read Apollo's facial features due to that eye patch. Like Mr. Edgeworth said, a mask could nullify the robot's facial recognition, and then all the person would have to do is wear a jacket with the victim's ID tag to pose as her. Of all the ridiculous theories, what good would a silly disguise like that do? Have you forgotten that the robot also has a heartbeat detection system? If there was a third person at the scene, a robot would have detected them. I'm sorry, Mr. Edgeworth, but that doesn't count for much, I'm afraid. Because by that time, Dr. Sykes' heart has already stopped beating. What? So does that mean? Yes, Your Honor. The person Miss Sykes stabbed, this third person who was posing as Dr. Sykes, is her mother's real killer. But that's... I'm... Impossible! A mask? The person I stabbed was wearing a mask? Order! Order in the court! Miss Sykes, did you say something? A mask? Yes, I remember. Athena? What is it? I remember a man with a mask. How could he? What did he do to my mother? My head. Ah! Miss Sykes, are you alright? No! The black psyche locks. They're breaking. It's all coming back to me. Everything that happened the day my mother was murdered. They're gone. The black psyche locks are finally gone. You didn't really stab your mother, did you? It's all right, Athena. Just tell us what you saw that day. I was drawing a picture. When I was done, I went to show it to my mom. I opened the door, and then... It's all right. I'm right here. You're safe, Athena. She was on the floor by the workbench with the katana sticking out of her. There was a handkerchief over her face, but I knew it was her by her clothes. And there was a man there. A man? Quiet, Your Honor. Go on, Athena. He tried to attack me. In a panic, I grabbed the knife that was there, and he dodged at first, so I only got his clothes. But I tried again. And this time you got him, didn't you? I did. I remember it clearly now. The knife went into the back of his hand. Then he kicked me, and I passed out. When I came to, my mom wasn't moving. I had to do something. I had to fix her, I thought. So I asked Panko to move her to the operating table. Something's wrong with Mom, so I'm taking her apart to fix her. That's why she said that. Your Honor, as you can see, the defendant was just giving us crucial new testimony. A man was there before Miss Sykes arrived. A man who was covered the victim's face, and put on the victim's jacket. This man is the real culprit. Miss Sykes, do you have any idea who this man was? No, I'm afraid I don't. A few moments ago, Miss Sykes mentioned a mask. Athena, can you tell us anything else about that? Yes, the mask. It was my mom's Japanese cedar mask. I think it was the one hanging on the wall in the lab. Ah, this mask hanging here on the wall. It was kind of spooky, that mask. My mom used to tell me that a Nov mask, even that, has the power to turn an ordinary human into a phantom. A phantom? It would seem that a new suspect has emerged. And that means all suspicion against Miss Sykes has... You see? This is precisely why I can't trust the court system. Athena Sykes is the murderer. I won't accept any other verdict. Miss Blackwell, this is not good. A new suspect? Where's the proof that this person ever existed? Who says it wasn't all just a dream in the little princess's groggy little head? Ugh, she's right. We don't have any hard evidence of the masked man's existence. Thank you, Mr. Wright. I'll never been able to repay you for all you've done. So, you come back to the office later? After, we get your not guilty verdict. But I'm fine now, because I can say with certainty that I didn't kill my mother. Athena, I'm so glad for you. More and more memories are coming back to now. So I'd like to say one thing if I could. Panko came to the robotics lab at about 2 p.m. to recharge. I went to the robotics lab around 2 p.m. for my regular recharge. Just as I was about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy and Mattress. And the mom and Mattress fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I didn't know anything. I see. I see where you're going with this. If Mommy Mentress was really the killer in disguise... Right! Then he must have come to the robotics lab before 2 p.m. Do I have anything else here in evidence that can help me find this person who came to the lab before 2 p.m.? Wait! It's so simple!
Take that!
This is Prosecutor Blackwell leaving the scene after the incident around 3 p.m. What I'm wondering, does this video show anyone else passing there before then? I don't see anything in the investigation report. It looks like they didn't check. Just as I thought. So if we rewind the footage and go back to around 2 p.m., we should be able to see the true culprit leaving the scene. Very well then, let's take a look. There! Please stop it right there. It's just as you said, there's a man leaving the scene of the crime. Stand back. Rewind. Man leaving the scene of the crime. Miss Sykes, do you remember this person? That's him! I'm sure of it! He's wearing my mother's jacket! I did, but what I really wanted to see was her jacket. That jacket on display. That was Dr. Sykes. Can you see it? There's that slash I made with the utility knife that day. I'm sure that knife is under that jacket somewhere. So then, everything Miss Sykes said. Exactly. It proves that Miss Sykes' memory was correct. Dr. Sykes, the killer, arrived at the robotics lab before 2 p.m. He killed her and hid her face as a handkerchief. Then, he disguised himself with Dr. Sykes' jacket and mask that were there in the lab. The culprit probably knew beforehand that Panko was charged up at 2 p.m. every day. So he waited for Panko to come to the lab for her regular recharge. By leaving Dr. Sykes' jacket on, the culprit tricked Panko into thinking that he was Dr. Sykes, thereby making it look like she was alive up until that point in time. All to disguise the real time of death.
Objection!
It's a nice theory, Mr. Wright, but I'm afraid it's just not possible. What? Why not? The victim's jacket is clearly visible right here in this video. And that's right there is precisely the problem. The ID tag on that jacket at the scene confirms beyond a doubt that it belonged to the victim. If the person who left the lab was surely wearing the victim's jacket, then how could it possibly wound up back at the crime scene? What's going on? That doesn't make any sense. It's someone else's jacket. Wait a second. Hold on. I need to see this photo again. Okay, so remember, this was taken 7 years ago. So Clay technically wasn't a member of the Hat Jacket. So whose jacket is he wearing at that time? Edgeworth is right. If the culprit was wearing the jacket, how did it get back into the lab? The killer used the jacket as disguise to make his escape. But in order to conceal that fact, he had to get the jacket back to the crime scene. So the culprit simply returned to the robotics lab later and planted it there. Contradiction resolved. Except that it would have been impossible. The only person who came to the robotics lab after the killer were Prosecutor Blackwell and the people who reported the body. And they claimed that the jacket was there when they arrived. So, when do you suppose the mystery man have yours had the chance to return the jacket? A puzzling question indeed. When did the culprit have the chance to bring the jacket back? The culprit was there at the time of the crime. He could have easily put it back then.
Objection.
But the security camera captured the man leaving with the jacket after the murder. You realize that you're contradicting yourself, don't you? Of course I do. Who do you think you're dealing with here? Well, I hope you also realize that you'll now have to deal with this penalty. Fuck. You're right, Your Honor. Sorry, Your Honor. I can't... Why can't he hurt less? Oh, obviously, because he could have been one of the first people to discover the scene of the crime. The only time the culprit could have returned to the jacket was when the body was found. Mr. Wright, do you realize the implication of that argument? I do. Most people, when they come across the murder, they focus their attention on the body. The culprit could have taken advantage of the split second to plant the jacket. In other words, the true culprit of this case is the man known as the Phantom. The one that was one of the first people to discover the body. I would never thought of that! Order! Order in the court! What is the meaning of this, Prosecutor Edgeworth? The body was discovered and reported by a group of 3 people. They were to collect the space probe's capsules that in the preparations of the Hat 1 launch. One of those people had a special bag to transport the capsule in. Oh, you mean the shock-resistant bag? Correct. I suppose that if the jacket was in that bag, it could have been returned to the scene of the crime without anyone noticing. I'll see that to it that you get the reports on those 3 people. You will? We should also check the facial recognition database for that robot. If this person felt the need to hide the face with the cedar mask, it might mean that his facial recognition was once registered. Per Prosecutor Edgeworth, does this mean? I have to admit, I believe Miss Sykes' memory is to be credible. You win, right? Not that this was ever an official trial anyways. Do my ears deceive me? Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you actually conceding? Is it true, boss? Does this mean I can't believe it. It's over. I won. I proved that both Istina and Prosecutor Blackwell are innocent. Your Honor, I see no further to prolong this trial. Hold it, Mr. Wright. Have you forgotten who's in charge of this trial? That's right. I'm the one who's supposed to say I need to further to prolong. Not you either, Your Honor. Now silence. The little princess who was truly beloved by Demetrius, who had repaid that love, was death. All these years, hating Estina was the only thing that kept me going. Well, what do I do now? Can anyone tell me? How am I supposed to go on? Miss Blackwell. How unlike you, Aura. Demetrius is deeply passionate about her work, and she chose you as her partner. Isn't that... Shut up, Simon! You know exactly how I felt about her. Her respect as a coworker wasn't all that I wanted. Aw, was it a little cute little gay lesbian romance? Did you really just go there, Your Honor? Aura, there is something I wanted to say if you will lend me an ear. I have in my possession a lead on who Beatrice's murderer is. You do? Right, Dono? You asked me about the identity of the Phantom 7 years ago, 7 years past. That's right. The Phantom. The person Blackwell has been looking for, even from behind bars. 7 years ago, somebody hatched a plan to sabotage the Hat 1 rocket. The spy. But he was no ordinary spy. We know not about him, his background, appearance. We came to refer to him as the Phantom. At the time, I was working with the police to hunt him down. And then one day, a miracle occurred, and I obtained the lead on him. Oh, how exciting! What was the lead? A record of the Phantom's voice, but the quality was too poor for proper voice analysis. Yet, I had hope. Aura's co-worker was a scientist who could analyze humans' emotions. So I asked her to evaluate the recording using analytical psychology. And that scientist was Dr. Sykes. Yes, a spy's greatest fear is to have his true identity discovered. In addition to the Hat 1, Dr. Sykes' results and the recording were surely among his targets. But his search for the Space Center bore no fruit. So he must have started to panic. He couldn't find them, but where could they have been? Who's to say? Wow, I bet he never let that out of his sight all these years. How in the world did you smuggle them into prison? Oh, I have my ways. What's more, my partner is especially talented at that sort of thing. Taka! I worked to lure the Phantom by spreading rumors throughout the underworld. I was even granted permission to prosecute cases that attracted the Phantom's attention. Just try to retrieve your identity. You bloody butcher became my taunt. And what about the result Dr. Sykes drew up to you? Was there any useful information? Here, you can see for yourself. But take a good care of it. It's all I have left of my mentor. I will. I better hold on to this real tight. Did you guys hear that? That's thunder. So, needless to say, I'm probably gonna split the finale up into 2 parts here. And so we're gonna probably end this on Tuesday, because I don't want to risk anything. Plus, I'm not in a rush to finish this game, you know. Psychological profile classified. Emotional output of this voice extremely weak compared to the typical voices. Subject deemed to have a unique psychological makeup with almost no emotional fluctuation. No emotional fluctuation, huh? A spy who experiences no emotions. Not sadness, nor anger, and naturally, no fear. He's the very definition of a phantom. A monster with no heart. Don't you see? This creature is the rot that destroyed our lives and will set veils into all of our emotions. The Phantom, indeed. A fitting name for the one who has brought darkness to our world. Well then, it seems that a faint image of this man has started to take shape. Based on what we've learned, I'd like all you to conduct further investigation. This is not a formal trial, but I do want to follow a protocol. If I may, I'd like to hand down my verdicts to bring these proceedings to an end. Whatever. Do what you want. You'll hear no objection from me. Yes, please, Your Honor. It's over. It's finally over. Very well. In that case, Prosecutor Blackwell, could you please take the stand? He was already there. As a result of this trial, your innocence has been proven. The verdict handed down 7 years ago is hereby overturned. And now, the defendant of the current trial, Miss Athena Sykes. Yes, Your Honor? Mr. Wright, thank you. Thank you for everything. Athena, you're more than welcome. As long as you continue working for me. If everyone is ready, I will now give my verdict. Okay, who's yelling objection now? You! Apollo! Why must you ruin this moment, Apollo? Apollo? What is the meaning of this? Congratulations, Mr. Wright and Prosecutor Edgeworth. You uncovered the truth from 7 years ago, and you saved Prosecutor Blackwell. However, I can't allow this trial to end just yet. Why, Apollo? Why would you do this to us? Apollo. I had a feeling Apollo was gonna ruin something at some point. I just didn't know when that some point was gonna be. Yes, I would like to save my progress, please. And return to the game menus, because we gotta change the music for next time. I like this. Yeah. We can use that as the end. And I want to go back to the title screen because I didn't get to use that at all for during this entrance because well I had my set on using the game I picked for last time, which I'm probably gonna do again on Tuesday. Which, not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna do again on Tuesday when we finish this case. It's okay, it's okay. I appreciate the lurkers. I always appreciate the lurkers. I mean, if I jokingly told people they couldn't, they're like, no, you have to actively watch my stream, I'd be a huge I would be a huge hypocrite, you know? Because, let's face it, most of the time when I'm watching someone stream, I'm literally just like playing Genshin Impact while I do so. While I watch, not active it. Like, I'll make like a sassy comment if it's like I'm watching a friend or something. Don't feel bad for lurking. It's just how it happens. You are allowed to lurk. So anyways, like I said, I'll be back Saturday. And I'll be back Saturday because even if I were to stream tomorrow, one, I don't typically stream on Fridays. The only reason I am doing it for Dokkan Pong Kingdom Connect is because I want to make sure I get all of that content because that is great content so far. And I think if I remember right from our talks last time, like on Saturday, I believe the next time we are playing is next Saturday because Michael and Alexa Random and Alexa are both out for this weekend. That's why I'm doing I'm starting up my Pokemon Fire Red randomizer Nuzlocke on Saturday, which then I will I'll put on hold until I can get to Wednesday streams. And then we'll be back on Tuesday for the rest of this case. And then Thursday can be the start of the DLC episode, or the special episode as the trilogy calls it. I like to call it DLC because it originally was DLC for the 3DS anyways, so. Anyways, part of me is also trying to jabber a little bit to see if anybody I watch has gone live. or anyone I follow or anyone I can raid, which is nobody, which it feels so weird to say on a Saturday. But then again, I'm normally not still live at 10, almost 11 p.m. I'm usually gone like 2 hours ago. I'm usually heading off a line like 2 hours ago. Anyway, son, good night.